The first time Noah Bennett realized someone wanted Dominic Hayes dead, he was carrying a tray of wine glasses worth more than 3 months of his rent. One of them had been polished twice. Noah knew because he had watched the sommelier reject it, watched a nervous server replace it, and then watched a man in a charcoal suit touch the stem with 2 bare fingers when he thought nobody was looking. Noah nearly stopped walking. Nearly. In the private dining room ahead, Dominic sat at the head of a black walnut table while 8 men discussed territory as casually as weather. Nobody raised his voice around Dominic Hayes. They didn't need to. Fear handled the volume for him. Noah lowered his eyes and kept moving, because people like him survived rooms like this by appearing useful, quiet, and forgettable. He had perfected all 3. The shoes pinching his toes had come from a thrift store. The white shirt under his vest had been mended at the cuff with thread that was almost the right color. Almost was good enough when the landlord wanted rent by Friday and the pharmacy had stopped extending credit. Noah balanced the tray on one hand and counted the glasses again. 9. 8 for the men at the table. 1 placed separately for Dominic. The glass that had been touched. His stomach tightened. "You're drifting," murmured Elena, the senior server beside him. Her smile never moved. "Table first. Panic later." "I'm not panicking. Your left eyebrow says otherwise." Noah forced it down. "Traitor." Elena's mouth twitched. It was the closest anyone came to laughing on the private floor. The doors opened, and conversation thinned. Dominic didn't look impressive in the loud way some alphas did. He wore a dark suit without a pin, chain, or visible weapon. He sat perfectly still while powerful men leaned toward him and chose their words like each one might be their last. His control was quieter than intimidation. It was gravity. Noah had worked at the Bellwether Club for 6 months, long enough to know 3 things about Dominic Hayes. He never drank until everyone else had been served. He noticed every exit. And for reasons Noah had never understood, he always knew when Noah had skipped dinner. Noah began serving clockwise. The first man barely glanced at him. The second snapped his fingers before Noah had finished pouring. Noah ignored it. At the 4th seat, he noticed a smear of moisture near the wine bottle's neck, though the bottle had been wiped dry before entering. At the 6th, he caught the charcoal-suited man watching the separate glass on Noah's tray. Not Dominic. The glass. Noah's pulse picked up. He told himself there were ordinary explanations. Condensation. Nerves. A fingerprint. Poor people stayed alive by not inventing problems powerful men might punish them for noticing. Then Dominic spoke. "Noah." His name landed softly, but every man at the table stopped talking. Noah looked up before he could stop himself. Dominic's gaze dropped to the tray, then returned to his face. "You haven't eaten." Heat crept up Noah's neck. Of all the details in the room, that was what he had noticed. "I'm working, sir." That wasn't an answer. One of the men gave a careful laugh, testing whether the moment was supposed to be amusing. Dominic didn't look at him. Noah shifted the tray. "I had coffee." "Coffee isn't food. It has beans." The silence that followed was immediate and terrible. Noah wished the carpet would open and accept him. Then Dominic's mouth moved. Not quite a smile, but close enough to make Noah's heart stumble. "Eat after you finish." It wasn't a request. Somehow, it also didn't feel like humiliation. Noah nodded once. "Yes, sir." He served the next glass and felt the room subtly change. The men had noticed Dominic noticing him. That was dangerous in ways Noah couldn't yet name. He reached the final place setting and paused beside Dominic. Up close, the Mafia Boss smelled faintly of cedar and cold night air, controlled enough that most people would miss the underlying tension. Noah didn't. Dominic's right hand rested near the table, relaxed except for the thumb tapping once against his index finger. A warning sign. Something in the meeting had already gone wrong. Noah placed the separate wine glass near Dominic's hand. The charcoal-suited man exhaled. Too quietly for anyone else, perhaps. Not for Noah. Dominic looked. At the glass. Then at Noah. Problem. Noah's instincts collided. Tell him. Stay quiet. Don't embarrass the staff. Don't accuse a guest without proof. Don't become visible. He glanced at the stem, searching for the mark left by the stranger's fingers. It was gone. Polished clean. "No, sir," Noah said, and hated how quickly the words came. Dominic held his gaze for 1 second longer than comfort allowed. Noah had the unsettling feeling that Dominic had heard the lie, waited, and chosen not to expose him. "Stay nearby," Dominic said. Noah's grip tightened around the tray. I'm scheduled downstairs after service. Not tonight. No explanation. No room to argue. Around the table, several expressions changed and disappeared. Curiosity, irritation, calculation. Noah stepped back, every instinct warning him that he had just been moved from the edge of the room into its center. As he turned toward the side station, Elena caught his eye. Her earlier humor was gone. She glanced once at Dominic's untouched wine, then toward the service door. Someone stood beyond the narrow glass panel, watching. The moment Noah noticed, the figure moved away. Noah set the tray down carefully. Behind him, the meeting resumed, calm voices covering sharp intentions. In front of him sat Dominic's glass, dark red beneath the chandelier light, untouched and waiting. Noah had spent most of his life making himself small enough to escape notice. Tonight, Dominic Hayes had ordered him to stay close, and someone in the room had just realized Noah was paying attention. Noah kept his eyes on Dominic's untouched wine while the meeting resumed behind him, each calm sentence sounding more dangerous than the last. He should have told Dominic what he'd seen. He knew that. But suspicion wasn't proof, and people in Noah's position did not accuse powerful men based on a fingerprint and a bad feeling. They lost jobs for less. Sometimes worse. At the side station, Elena moved beside him without looking up. You saw something. It wasn't a question. Noah picked up a clean napkin and folded it once, buying time. Someone touched the glass. Her hand stopped. Who? Charcoal suit. Elena's gaze flicked toward the table. Mr. Voss. Noah didn't know the man's name, but the charcoal suit sat 2 places down from Dominic, smiling at something that wasn't funny. Maybe gets people killed up here. So does being wrong. Elena pressed her lips together. Across the room, Dominic had not touched the wine. His attention appeared fixed on the discussion, but Noah knew better now. Dominic noticed exits. Empty stomachs. Lies delivered too quickly. He would notice Noah staring at the same glass for too long. A server approached the side station with a fresh bottle. Young, pale, knew enough that Noah couldn't remember his name. They want the reserve opened, he whispered. His hands shook against the corkscrew. Noah looked at the bottle, then at Dominic's glass. Who told you? The server nodded toward the table. Mr. Voss. Elena's eyes sharpened. Dominic didn't ask for another bottle. I just do what they tell me. Then don't, Noah said. The server stared at him as if Noah had suggested setting the building on fire. At the table, Voss turned his head. He saw the unopened bottle still in the server's hands. His expression didn't change, but his fingers curled once against the tablecloth. Noah felt the same cold certainty he had felt when the stranger touched the stem. Something was wrong. Dominic's thumb stopped tapping. Is there a delay? He asked. Every face turned toward the staff. Elena stepped forward, professional and calm. A question regarding the reserve, Mr. Hayes. There was no question, Voss said. His tone was smooth, dismissive. I requested it. Dominic looked at him. In my club, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Voss smiled carefully. A courtesy to the table. Then you should have asked. Noah watched Voss recover, watched the irritation disappear beneath a polished expression. Too fast. Too practiced. Then Voss glanced at the wine beside Dominic. Just once. Noah's heartbeat kicked hard. Dominic followed the glance. For half a second, nobody moved. Noah could have spoken then. He could have said someone had touched the glass. He could have admitted he had lied. But if he was wrong, Elena and the young server could lose their jobs with him. If he was right, Dominic might reach for the glass before anyone understood the danger. Noah saw the possibilities collapse into one terrible choice. He stepped toward the table. Dominic's gaze locked onto him. Noah. There was warning in his voice now. Noah reached for the glass. I need to check something. Voss pushed back from the table. That is not your job. The sharpness in his tone confirmed more than any confession could have. Noah lifted the glass before anyone could stop him. Dominic rose. Put it down. Noah's hands were steady, which surprised him. Everything else inside him was shaking. You said I lie badly. Noah. I think I was right to. He brought the rim to his mouth and took the smallest possible sip. The wine was expensive, dry, almost smoky. Then came something underneath it. Bitter. Metallic. Wrong. Noah set the glass down so quickly the base struck the wood. Don't drink that. Dominic moved around the table. Noah tried to step back, but the floor shifted under him. Heat tore through his throat, followed by a hard cramp beneath his ribs. His vision narrowed. Someone shouted. A chair crashed. Noah reached for the table and missed. Dominic caught him before he hit the floor. The impact of Dominic's arms around him was solid and warm, but Noah's body had already stopped obeying. Look at me, Dominic said. Not loud. Terrified. Noah had never imagined Dominic Hayes could sound terrified. Noah tried to focus on his face. The glass, he managed. I know. Someone touched it. Dominic's hand braced the back of Noah's neck. Who? Noah turned his head toward Voss, but the room had blurred into fragments. Dark suits, white plates, Elena's pale face, the chandelier breaking into streaks of gold. Charcoal, he whispered. Voss moved toward the door. Dominic did not look away from Noah. Lock the room. The doors slammed shut before Voss reached them. Men appeared from the walls Noah had thought were only walls. Armed. Silent. Fast. Nobody leaves, Dominic said. Nobody speaks unless asked. Noah's lungs tightened. His fingers clutched weakly at Dominic's sleeve. Elena didn't. She's safe. Dominic looked toward the young server. Medical team. Now. The server ran. Dominic lowered Noah carefully to the carpet, one hand still behind his head. Around them, the men at the table had gone very still. Voss began to protest. Dominic finally looked up. Whatever fear had been in his face disappeared. What replaced it was colder than anger. Sit down. Voss sat. Noah heard Elena kneel beside him. He felt fingers at his pulse, then Dominic's hand closing over his. Stay with me, Dominic said. Noah wanted to make a joke about coffee counting as food. He wanted to tell Dominic that this was exactly why poor people avoided rich men's wine. Nothing came out. The ceiling tilted. Dominic squeezed his hand hard enough to hurt. Noah. His name no longer sounded like an order. It sounded like a plea. The last thing Noah saw was Dominic turning toward the men trapped around the table, while armed guards sealed every exit. The last thing he heard was Dominic's voice becoming calm again. Find out which of them poisoned him. Then the room vanished. Noah came back in pieces. First, the taste of metal at the back of his tongue. Then the weight in his chest. Then the steady electronic pulse beside him, counting seconds he could not remember losing. He opened his eyes to a ceiling he had never seen before. Not a hospital ceiling. Too high. Too clean. A soft amber light glowed from the walls, and somewhere nearby, water moved through pipes with a low, expensive hum. Noah tried to lift his head. Pain answered from his throat to his stomach. Don't. Dominic's voice came from the chair beside the bed. Noah turned slowly. Dominic was still wearing the same dark shirt from the meeting, but the collar was open now, the sleeves rolled to his forearms. There was dried blood near one cuff. Noah stared at it too long. Dominic noticed. Of course he did. It isn't yours, he said. That did not help. Noah swallowed and immediately regretted it. Where am I? My residence. Why? Dominic's jaw tightened. Because the hospital was not secure. Noah looked past him. The room was quiet, private, guarded by a closed door with no visible handle on his side. Medical equipment stood beside the bed, and 4-line disappeared into his arm. How long? 14 hours. 14. Noah searched his memory and found only fragments. The bitter wine, Dominic catching him, Elena's hand at his wrist, the doors slamming shut. Then Dominic's voice. Find out which of them poisoned him. Noah's pulse monitor quickened. Dominic leaned forward. You're breathing. I'm breathing. Badly. I've had a rough day. For 1 second, something almost human moved across Dominic's face. Relief, maybe. It vanished before Noah could trust it. The doctor said the dose was small, Dominic said. Small enough that treatment worked. Large enough to kill if you had swallowed more. Noah looked down at the blanket. His fingers were trembling. He curled them into the fabric. Elena. Alive. Safe. The new server? Safe. Noah let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. That was the first good thing. The second was that Dominic had answered without making him ask twice. Noah looked toward the window, but heavy curtains covered it. And the men at the table? Silence changed the room before Dominic said anything. Noah looked back at him. Dominic's expression was calm in the way stone was calm. They're dead. The monitor jumped. Noah stared at him, waiting for the sentence to become something else. It didn't. All of them. Yes. You killed 8 people while I was unconscious? I ordered it. The distinction made Noah feel colder, not better. He pushed himself higher against the pillows despite the pain. Why? Dominic stood, not to threaten him, but because stillness had become impossible. The poison was introduced before the bottle reached the room. Boss arranged the switch. 2 others paid the supplier. 1 disabled the camera outside the service corridor. The remaining men knew there would be an attempt and attended anyway because they expected to divide what was left after I died. Noah's mouth went dry. You found all that in 14 hours. In 3. Dominic said it without pride. That frightened Noah more. And you were certain? There were recordings, transfers, messages, 2 confessions. 2. The others stopped pretending once they understood what I knew. Noah saw the table again. White plates, dark suits, boss watching the glass. Men who had spoken about territory while waiting for Dominic to drink poison. He should have felt relieved. Instead, guilt settled over him like wet concrete. They died because I drank it. Dominic crossed the distance between them so quickly Noah flinched. He stopped immediately. That pause mattered, though Noah did not know why. No, Dominic said. They died because they conspired to murder me and poisoned you. But if I hadn't, you would still be alive. The words landed hard. Dominic's voice dropped. Do not turn their choices into your debt. Noah almost laughed, but there was nothing funny in it. Debt was the one language his life had always understood. Rent, medicine, favors, safety. Now 8 bodies. You don't get to decide what I feel responsible for. I decide what is fact. That sounds convenient. Dominic went very still. Most people would have apologized. Noah had spent years apologizing before anyone asked. He was too tired. Dominic looked at him for a long moment, then pulled the chair farther from the bed before sitting again. Not close enough to crowd him. Close enough to reach him if the machines changed. You're right, he said. The admission was so unexpected Noah forgot the next thing he meant to say. Dominic glanced toward the 4. You may feel responsible. You are not. Noah looked at the blood on his cuff again. What happened after I passed out? You were treated. That isn't what I asked. Dominic's silence returned. Noah understood then that whatever had happened in that room had not ended with evidence. Did they know it was because of me? They knew touching you was the last mistake they would make. The answer should have sounded protective. It did. That was the problem. Warmth and fear moved through Noah at the same time. No one had ever made his life sound valuable enough to draw a line around. No one had ever made that line out of bodies. Dominic leaned back, watching him with the patience of a man accustomed to waiting out resistance. You will remain here until the doctor clears you. Noah's gaze shifted to the sealed door. And after that, you will remain under my protection. At the club? No, my apartment. No, Noah stared at him. Then where? Here. The room seemed smaller. That isn't protection. That's relocation. Your address is compromised. Then help me move. I am. You're deciding where. Yes. The honesty was almost insulting. Noah pulled his hand away when Dominic reached toward the blanket. Dominic stopped before touching him. Again, that pause. Again, not enough. I need my phone, Noah said. It's being checked. My clothes. Replaced. My landlord will no longer be an issue. Noah's chest tightened. What did you do? Paid the balance. The debt was gone. Just like that. Months of panic erased by a sentence. Relief came first, hot and humiliating. Then anger followed because Dominic had reached into Noah's life and changed it while he could not object. You had no right. Dominic's eyes hardened, but his voice remained level. Someone nearly killed you because you were standing beside me. Rights are no longer the only consideration. They are to me. The monitor betrayed the force of Noah's pulse. Dominic looked at it, then back at him. For the first time since Noah woke, he seemed uncertain. It lasted barely a second. Rest, he said. We'll discuss it when you're stronger. Noah looked toward the door again. Beyond it, he could hear the faint shift of armed guards. He was alive. Elena was safe. His debts were paid. Dominic Hayes had killed every man at the table because Noah had fallen in his arms. No one had ever protected him so completely. No one had ever taken so much choice from him in the same breath. Noah closed his eyes, not because he was tired, but because it was the only thing in the room still under his control. When Noah opened his eyes again, Dominic was still there. The room had changed from amber darkness to gray morning, but the Mafia Boss had not moved far. He sat in the same chair with a tablet balanced on one knee, reading reports while a cup of coffee cooled untouched beside him. Noah watched him for several seconds before speaking. Do you ever sleep? Dominic looked up immediately. Yes. That sounded defensive. It was an answer. Noah's throat still hurt, but the corner of his mouth lifted anyway. You should work on making those sound different. Dominic studied him as if humor were a language he had not expected Noah to speak. Then he set the tablet down. How do you feel? Like I drank poison. Accurate. Thank you. I was worried the near-death experience had damaged my judgment. This time, Dominic almost smiled. The expression was brief, but Noah caught it. A small reward for surviving the night. Dominic poured water into a glass, checked its seal himself, and held it out. Noah noticed the way his fingers tightened when Noah hesitated. It's safe, Dominic said. I know. Noah took it, though his hand shook enough that water touched the rim. Dominic reached forward, then stopped before steadying him. That pause again. Noah hated that he noticed every time. You can help, he said quietly. Dominic supported the bottom of the glass without touching Noah's hand. It should not have felt intimate. It did. Over the next 2 days, Dominic developed a routine Noah had never agreed to and secretly began relying on. Medication at precise times. Food in small portions. A doctor who appeared before Noah could admit anything hurt. Dominic handled every instruction with the intensity of a military operation. On the second morning, Noah found him examining a bowl of oatmeal as if it had confessed to treason. What's wrong with it? Noah asked. Too much sugar. It's oatmeal. It came from my kitchen. Should I alert federal authorities? Dominic looked at him flatly. You need protein. I need breakfast that doesn't feel like punishment. 20 minutes later, a different tray arrived with eggs, toast, and coffee. Actual coffee. Noah stared at it. You changed the order. The first one was unsuitable. You mean I complained? Dominic unfolded a napkin with unnecessary precision. I heard you. The words settled somewhere Noah was not prepared to examine. People usually heard his complaints as ingratitude. Dominic treated them like information. It made the rest harder. Noah began walking short distances on the third day. Dominic followed the first time, not close enough to touch him, but close enough to catch him. Noah made it 6 steps before dizziness tilted the hallway. Dominic's hand closed around his waist. Warm. Immediate. Careful. I'm fine, Noah said automatically. You're leaning on me. That doesn't prove anything. You are also pale. I'm naturally pale. You're arguing while half-conscious. That's how you know I'm recovering. Dominic guided him back without lifting him, respecting the small amount of dignity Noah could still claim. When they reached the bed, Noah realized Dominic was breathing harder than he was. You thought I was going to collapse again. Dominic adjusted the blanket instead of answering. I didn't. I noticed. You notice everything. The words came out sharper than Noah expected. Dominic's hands stilled. For a moment, the room held only the soft machine beside the bed. Not everything, Dominic said. It was the closest thing to vulnerability Noah had heard from him. Noah wanted to ask what he had missed. Instead, he watched Dominic straighten the edge of the blanket twice, though it was already perfect. Later that afternoon, Elena visited under guard. She arrived carrying Noah's repaired shirt in a paper bag and looked around the guest suite with open suspicion. This is a very luxurious hostage situation. I'm recovering, Noah said. Behind a door you can't open. Dominic stood near the window, silent. Elena looked at him. No offense. You intended offense. A little. Noah covered a laugh with a cough. Dominic immediately reached for the water. Elena's eyebrows rose as he passed it over. Noah pretended not to notice. She told him the club had closed its private floor. The young server had been relocated with his family. Nobody knew when regular operations would resume. Your shifts are covered, she added. Noah frowned. By who? Elena glanced at Dominic. Apparently you don't work there anymore. The warmth in the room vanished. Noah turned slowly. What does that mean? Dominic did not look surprised. The club is no longer safe for you. So you fired me? No, I had a job. Now I don't. You will be compensated. That is not the same thing. Elena quietly stood. I'm going to admire the armed men outside. She squeezed Noah's shoulder before leaving. The door closed, and Noah looked at Dominic across the room. You said we would discuss things when I was stronger. You are not cleared to return. That's a medical decision. Ending my job is not. Your name appeared in conversations it should never have entered. Noah's skin went cold. What conversations? Dominic's gaze shifted toward the tablet on the table. A delay. Small, but there. The investigation is ongoing. You know more than you're telling me. I know enough to keep you here. That isn't an answer. It is the only one you need today. Noah stared at him. 3 days of careful meals, sealed water, dry humor, and a hand waiting beneath his elbow had almost convinced him this could be something other than captivity. Then Dominic had changed his job, his income, and his future without asking. Again, beyond the window, a black sedan stopped at the curb below. 2 armed men stepped out and scanned the building before entering. Dominic watched them arrive, his face unreadable. Noah looked from the guards to the tablet, then back to him. What did you decide this time? Dominic did not answer quickly enough. And for the first time since waking, Noah understood that the most dangerous thing in the room might not be what Dominic had done to his enemies. It might be everything he was quietly deciding for Noah. Dominic's silence told Noah more than an answer would have. Noah looked at the tablet on the table, then at the guards moving through the lobby below. Show me. Dominic's expression hardened. No, the word came too quickly. Noah felt something inside him settle into place. Not calm. Clarity. Then you do know. I know enough. You keep saying that like it gives you the right to decide what I can handle. Dominic crossed the room and picked up the tablet before Noah could reach it. It gives me the responsibility to keep you alive. By taking away everything else. The question landed between them. Dominic's jaw tightened, but he did not answer. Noah stood too fast. The floor shifted, and his hand caught the edge of the table. Dominic moved instantly. Noah raised his palm. Don't. Dominic stopped. The restraint lasted only a second, but Noah saw the effort it cost him. Sit down, Dominic said. Ask. Dominic's eyes narrowed. What? Ask me to sit down. The room went quiet. Noah's pulse beat hard in his throat, but he refused to look away. Dominic glanced at Noah's unsteady legs, then back at his face. Will you sit down? Noah lowered himself into the chair. See? Nobody died. Something sharp and almost wounded crossed Dominic's expression. That is not funny. No, it isn't. Noah reached for the tablet. Dominic held it out of range. My name appeared in conversations. You took my job. You paid my rent. You moved me here. I deserve to know why. You deserve to recover. Those are not mutually exclusive. Dominic turned away, the tablet still in his hand. For a moment, Noah thought he would end the conversation by walking out. Instead, he unlocked the screen and placed it on the table between them. A list of messages filled the display. Most were short. Times, locations, payment confirmations. Noah did not understand the codes, but he understood his own name. Bennett remains inside. Use him if Hayes changes route. His stomach dropped. He scrolled. Another message appeared beneath it. The Omega is a clean lever. No family with power. No security. Noah read the line twice. Clean lever. As if he were not a person. Only a handle attached to Dominic. When were these sent? He asked. Before the dinner. You knew before I woke up? I knew someone had identified you. And you said nothing. You had poison in your bloodstream. After that, Dominic's voice lowered. I was not going to give you information that would make you try to leave before you could stand. Noah looked up. So you knew exactly what I would choose. I knew what you might do. That is not the same thing. It is when the consequence is your death. Noah pushed the tablet back. His hands were cold. You decided my job, my home, my phone, my money. Now you decide what I'm allowed to know. I removed vulnerabilities. You removed my life. Dominic went still. Noah almost wished he would shout. Anger would have been easier than the controlled certainty in his face. Your apartment was compromised, Dominic said. The club was compromised. Your schedule was known. Your debt made you easy to pressure. I closed every opening they had. And if I say I want to leave, you can't. The answer came without hesitation. Something in Noah's chest hurt more than the poison had. There it is. Dominic's eyes sharpened. Noah, you keep telling yourself this is protection because that sounds better than control. Call it whatever you want if you remain alive. Noah laughed once, without humor. That is exactly the problem. Dominic's scent changed, cedar turning sharper beneath the controlled surface. You think I enjoy this? I think you are used to being obeyed. I am used to preventing funerals. The words cut deeper because of the fear underneath them. Noah heard it. He also heard the cage closing. You don't trust me to make one decision about my own life. You drank poison to protect me. Yes. Then your judgment regarding your own safety is questionable. Noah flinched. Dominic saw it immediately. Regret appeared, but he did not take the words back. Noah rose more carefully this time. You're right about one thing. Dominic watched him. I made that choice because I thought your life mattered more than mine. The admission made Noah's throat tighten. But you don't get to use my worst belief about myself as permission to make every choice for me afterward. Dominic's hand flexed at his side. I will not gamble with your life. Then stop treating it like it belongs to you. The silence that followed felt larger than the room. Dominic looked at Noah as though he had been struck somewhere no one else could see. Then a soft chime sounded from the tablet. A new security report appeared. Noah saw only the first line before Dominic turned the screen away. Access attempt. Bennett medical file. Who tried to open it? Noah asked. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. I'll handle it. Noah stared at him. The answer was automatic. The same answer in a new shape. Dominic picked up the tablet and moved toward the door. Rest. We will discuss this later. No, Dominic stopped. Noah's legs still felt weak, and fear moved coldly beneath his skin. But his voice did not shake. You will discuss it with me now, or I will find out without you. Dominic turned slowly. That would be reckless. Maybe. Noah held his gaze. But at least it would be my decision. For the first time, Dominic looked less like a man controlling a threat and more like a man realizing the person he was protecting had stepped outside the boundaries he had drawn. Noah did not know who had tried to access his medical file, how far the conspiracy reached, or what Dominic had already done in response. But he knew one thing now with painful certainty. Being cared for was not the same as being trusted. And if Dominic refused to give him a place in the decisions shaping his life, Noah would have to take one. Noah did not wait for Dominic to decide whether the conversation was over. He reached for the tablet. Dominic moved it out of range. I said I'll handle it. And I said I'm done being handled. The words came out steadier than Noah felt. His legs were still weak, his throat still raw, but the anger holding him upright had become more reliable than his body. Dominic watched him for a long second. Then he turned the tablet around. The access attempt came through a private clinic 2 blocks from your apartment. Noah looked down at the report. The request had used a copied authorization code and targeted his blood work from the night of the poisoning. Why my medical file? That is what I'm determining. You mean what we're determining? Dominic's expression closed. No, Noah looked at the timestamp. Then the clinic name. Something bothered him. He read it again. This request happened 12 minutes after Elena visited. Dominic's gaze sharpened. Elena is not involved. I didn't say she was. You looked at her name. Because she brought my shirt from the club. A paper bag, remember? Noah scrolled through the access log. And she said the young server was relocated. Who handled his medical screening? Dominic did not answer immediately. Noah looked up. The same clinic? Yes. A small reward of certainty moved through Noah. Not victory. Proof. He could still see things Dominic's guards missed. Then whoever accessed my file may have been looking for both of us, Noah said. Not because I'm important on my own. Because we were both close to the wine. Dominic took the tablet back, but this time he studied the report instead of ending the conversation. The server handled the replacement bottle, and I handled the glass. Which makes both of you witnesses. Or loose ends. Dominic's jaw tightened. You are not a loose end. To them, I am. Noah held out his hand. Let me see the rest. Dominic did not give him the tablet. Noah, you heard me. I heard you ask to be placed deeper inside an active threat. I'm already inside it. That silenced him. Noah took one slow breath. You can either let me understand what's happening, or you can keep treating me like cargo and hope I don't do something desperate just to learn the truth. Dominic's eyes went cold. Is that a threat? It's a prediction. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Dominic set the tablet on the table between them. Not in Noah's hand, but within reach. It was not trust. It was the first inch of ground. Noah sat and began reading. The access request had failed, but the code used belonged to a physician contracted by the club. The same physician had signed routine clearance forms for private floor staff. Noah scanned the names attached to recent appointments. Most meant nothing. One did. Marcus Vale, he said. Dominic looked over. You know him? He trained the new server. I saw him near the service elevator the night of the meeting. Vale was not scheduled. He told everyone he was covering inventory. Dominic's attention shifted fully to Noah. Why was that not in your statement? Because no one asked me for one. The words struck harder than Noah intended. Dominic looked away first. He picked up his phone and issued 3 clipped instructions. No threats. No explanation. When he ended the call, Noah said, You believe me. I believe the detail is worth checking. That almost sounded respectful. Don't make it sentimental. Despite himself, Noah smiled. There he is. Dominic's mouth tightened, but some of the tension left his shoulders. For the next hour, they worked through the information together. Noah identified staff routines, service routes, and the small habits no security report recorded. Dominic supplied names, access records, and the power structure behind them. For the first time, Noah was not being moved around the problem. He was helping define it. The feeling was frightening. It was also the closest he had felt to Dominic since waking. Then Dominic's phone vibrated. He read the message, and the room changed. They found Vale's apartment empty, he said. He left 20 minutes ago. Noah looked at the report. Then he knew we were checking the clinic. Or someone warned him. The young server. Dominic's gaze snapped up. What about him? If Vale trained him, he may know where Vale goes when he's scared. You are not speaking to him. The fragile sense of partnership vanished so quickly Noah almost laughed. We just spent an hour proving I know things your people don't. And now you want direct contact with a potential target. I want to ask questions. My men will ask them. Your men scare people into giving the answer they think you want. Dominic stood. Enough. Noah stood too. Slower, but without wavering. No, this is exactly what I meant. You contributed useful information. That does not make you operational. Operational. Noah repeated. I'm not asking for a badge. I'm asking to speak to someone who trusts me more than he trusts armed strangers. Dominic's voice dropped. You nearly died 4 days ago. And you still think that ends every argument. It ends this one. Noah stared at him. Then you didn't hear anything I said. Dominic's phone rang again. He answered, listened, and went completely still. When he spoke, his tone was almost too controlled. Bring the car around. Noah's stomach tightened. What happened? Dominic ended the call. The server is gone. Gone where? Taken from the safe location. Noah felt the blood leave his face. You said he was protected. He was. Dominic reached for his jacket. Stay here. Noah stepped between him and the door. He trusted me. Move. Let me help find him. No, Dominic. I will not risk you for someone else. The sentence cut straight through Noah. Someone else. As if the young server's life could be weighed against his and dismissed. As if Noah's care for another person was just another dangerous impulse to be contained. That isn't your choice, Noah said. Dominic's eyes hardened. It is while you are under my protection. Then I don't want it. The words shocked them both. Dominic's hand froze on his jacket. Noah's heart hammered, but he did not take them back. If your protection means I only matter when I obey, I don't want it. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. Dominic took one step closer. You are sick, threatened, and not thinking clearly. Noah's voice dropped. And there it is again. The door opened behind Dominic. 2 guards waited outside. Dominic looked at Noah, fear buried beneath anger and authority. Then he made the decision Noah had been dreading. Secure this floor, he told the guards. He does not leave without me. The door closed. Locks engaged with a soft mechanical click. Dominic had chosen fear over trust. Noah stood in the center of the room, feeling the last fragile warmth between them split under the weight of that sound. For the first time, he understood that asking for a place in his own life would not be enough. If Dominic kept crossing every boundary Noah drew, then Noah would have to decide how much of himself he was willing to lose just to remain protected. The lock clicked behind Dominic, and the silence it left was worse than shouting. Noah stood in the center of the room, staring at the closed door as if anger alone might force it open. It did not. The guards outside did not move. Dominic did not come back. For several minutes, Noah heard only the faint hum of the ventilation system and his own pulse beating too hard in his ears. Then he looked at the tablet Dominic had left on the table. The screen had gone dark, but Noah could still see his reflection in it. Pale, exhausted, wearing clothes someone else had chosen, standing in a room someone else had decided was safe. For days ago, he had risked his life because he believed Dominic's mattered more. Now Dominic was using that decision as evidence that Noah could not be trusted with his own. The realization hurt, but it also cleared something inside him. Noah crossed to the door and knocked once. One of the guards answered through the intercom. Do you need medical assistance? I need the door opened. Mr. Hayes gave direct orders. I know. Then I can't. Noah rested his forehead against the cool wood. What's your name? A pause. Caleb. Caleb, if I tell you I'm being held here against my will, what happens? The silence lasted longer this time. I call Mr. Hayes. Of course you do. Noah stepped back. He did not blame Caleb. That was the problem with Dominic's world. Every path led back to Dominic. 2 hours passed before the lock disengaged. Dominic entered alone. His jacket was gone, and there was a fresh cut near his temple. Noah's first instinct was to ask whether he was hurt. He bit it back. Dominic closed the door, but did not lock it. The server is alive, he said. Relief hit Noah so fast he had to sit down. Where is he? Being treated. Did you find Vale? No. Dominic remained near the door. The distance felt deliberate. The safe house driver was compromised. We recovered the server before the transfer was completed. Noah looked at the cut again. Were you there? Yes. And you came back? Yes. To explain? Dominic's gaze lowered briefly. To correct a mistake. Noah almost laughed. Which one? The question landed cleanly. Dominic did not defend himself. Locking you in. That was not the first mistake. No, the answer was quiet. Noah waited, but Dominic seemed to believe the admission itself should be enough. It wasn't. You don't get points for knowing you crossed the line after you crossed it. Dominic's jaw flexed. I know. Do you? Noah stood. Because every time you're scared, you make my world smaller. You take something away, call it protection, and expect me to be grateful. I was trying to keep you alive. And I was trying to keep that boy alive. You are not responsible for everyone. Neither are you. Dominic's expression hardened, then softened just as quickly. Noah. No. Listen. Noah's voice shook, but he kept going. I spent my whole life being useful enough that people wouldn't leave. I worked. Sick. I apologized for needing anything. I drank from your glass because some part of me believed it was better if I got hurt than you. Dominic went completely still. I never asked you to do that. I know. Noah swallowed. But now you keep acting like, because I made one terrible choice, I belong under your control forever. Dominic took a step forward. Noah stepped back. He stopped immediately. That pause had once felt like proof of care. Now it felt like proof that he understood the boundary and had crossed it anyway. I don't want to control you, Dominic said. You do. I want you safe. Then you need to learn the difference. The room held them in a silence neither could escape. Dominic's voice dropped. What do you want? It was the first time he had asked without already deciding the answer. Noah felt the question move through him, frightening in its simplicity. He wanted Dominic. That was the worst part. He wanted the man who remembered whether he had eaten, who checked every glass, who listened when Noah complained about oatmeal. He also wanted the right to open a door. I want to leave this room, Noah said. Dominic's face changed. The threat is active. I know. You could be targeted. I know. And you still want to leave? Yes. Dominic looked at the unlocked door. For one terrible second, Noah thought he would close it again. Instead, he moved aside. There is a secured apartment on the 3rd floor of the west building. Separate entrance. Your phone will be returned. Guards will remain outside, not inside. Noah stared at him. You already arranged that? After I left. It was still Dominic solving the problem with property and security, but this time there was space in the solution. Not freedom. Not yet. Space. I'll go there tonight, Noah said. Alone. Dominic's eyes darkened. Noah, that is the condition. You're still recovering. Then send the doctor. Ask before he enters. Dominic looked as if every instinct in him was fighting the words. Finally, he nodded once. All right. The agreement did not fix what had broken. It only proved Dominic could survive giving up 1 inch of control. Noah packed the few things Elena had brought. There was not much. A repaired shirt, cheap jeans, a phone charger. The life Dominic had nearly erased fit into one paper bag. At the door, Dominic said, "A car is ready." Noah tightened his grip on the handles. "I'm not doing this to punish you. I know. I'm doing it because I can't keep disappearing inside what you call protection." Dominic's face stayed controlled, but his scent sharpened with something close to grief. "I know," he said again. This time, Noah believed he did. The elevator ride down was silent. Dominic did not touch him. He did not order him to stay. When the doors opened, Noah stepped out alone. The freedom felt small and frightening and painfully incomplete, but it was his. Behind him, Dominic remained inside the elevator, hands at his sides, letting the doors close between them. Noah had wanted to be chosen for so long that he had forgotten he was allowed to choose himself first. Now he had. And somewhere beyond the safety of Dominic's walls, the people who had taken the young server were still moving, still watching, still waiting. The next time danger came, Noah knew Dominic would have one choice to make: keep him by force, or trust him enough to stand beside him. 3 hours after Noah moved into the West Building, his return phone rang from an unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then a text appeared beneath the call. "It's me. Don't tell the guards." Noah stared at the screen. A second message followed. "Marcus Vale is coming for the medical records. He thinks I have them." The young server. Noah's pulse kicked hard. He crossed to the apartment door, then stopped with his hand near the lock. Part of him wanted to run straight to Dominic. Another part remembered the door ceiling behind him. He called the number instead. The server answered on the second ring, breathing too fast. "Where are you?" Noah asked. "I don't know. They moved me after Mr. Hayes found me. One of the nurses gave me my phone back for 5 minutes. Are you safe?" "Not if Vale knows I'm alive." A muffled voice sounded in the background. The server lowered his voice. He used the clinic because he wanted the toxicology results. The poison wasn't supposed to kill Mr. Hayes immediately. It was supposed to make him look sick, unstable. Then the men at the table would move against him. Noah gripped the phone. "Why access my file?" "Because you drank it. Your blood proves what it was." The pieces locked together. The messages. The clinic. The attempt to steal Noah's records. Vale did not need Noah dead because he was close to Dominic. He needed the evidence gone. "Listen to me," Noah said. "Tell the nurse to call security and use the phrase charcoal glass." It was meaningless to anyone else, but Dominic's people would understand. "I can't." A door slammed on the other end. The call went dead. Noah stood frozen for 1 second. Then he opened his apartment door. 2 guards turned toward him. "Call Dominic," Noah said. "Now." 10 minutes later, Dominic entered without an escort. He stopped just inside the apartment, leaving the door open behind him. Noah noticed. "Tell me everything," Dominic said. No order to sit. No attempt to take the phone. Noah handed it over anyway. The server called. "Vale wants the toxicology records because the poison was designed to weaken you, not kill you immediately. The men at the table were supposed to use your illness against you." Dominic read the messages, his expression becoming colder with each line. The server's location? Unknown. But the nurse may have access to his phone system. "We need to trace the call." "My people can. And I can tell them exactly what he heard and how afraid he sounded." Dominic looked at him. The old version of this moment would have ended with Noah locked behind another door. Noah waited to see which man had come through this one. Dominic held out the phone. "Come with me." Noah did not move. "Am I coming because you trust me, or because you plan to keep me where you can see me?" Dominic's jaw tightened. Then he answered honestly. "Both. It was not perfect. It was real. I can work with honest," Noah said. In the mobile command room downstairs, screens filled one wall, while Dominic's security team traced the call. Noah identified the faint background announcement he had heard, a medication code used only by one private recovery clinic connected to the same physician whose credentials had been stolen. Dominic's men narrowed the location to an underground treatment wing across town. "We move now," Dominic said. Noah stood with him. "I'm coming." Every guard in the room went still. Dominic turned. Fear flashed across his face before control covered it. "It may not be secure." "Then tell me the risk." Dominic explained the entrances, the likelihood Vale had armed men, and the possibility the clinic had been compromised. He gave Noah the truth without softening it. "Your choice," he said at last. The words cost him. Noah felt that. "I'm coming to identify the server and the records," Noah said. "I'm not going inside first. I'm not drinking anything. And I stay with the medical team once we reach him." Dominic nodded. "Agreed." The clinic's lower level smelled of bleach and burned wiring. Dominic's team entered through 2 access points while Noah remained behind a reinforced partition with a medic. Through the security feed, he saw Vale cornered near the records room, one hand holding a drive, the other holding the young server by the collar. Dominic reached the corridor first. Vale dragged the server backward and raised a gun. "You killed 8 men for him," Vale shouted. "You'll burn the whole city if I put a bullet in this one too." Dominic's weapon was steady. His face was not angry. It was empty. Noah knew that look. It was the same calm that had come after he collapsed. The calm before Dominic decided destruction was simpler than fear. Noah pressed the intercom. "Dominic." His name came through the corridor speaker. Dominic's eyes shifted toward the camera. The drive, Noah said. Vale needs it more than the hostage. He came back for proof, not revenge. Vale's grip tightened. That reaction confirmed it. Noah continued. Offer him the exit route. He'll move toward the garage because he thinks the car is still there. Dominic could have fired. Instead, he listened. He lowered his weapon by an inch and ordered the eastern corridor cleared. Vale moved exactly as Noah predicted, pulling the server with him while reaching for the access door. The moment he crossed the magnetic threshold, the lock engaged behind him. Dominic's team struck from the side. The server fell free. Vale hit the floor alive, disarmed, and surrounded. No execution. No blood across the table. Just control used with precision instead of rage. When the server was safe, Noah stepped from behind the partition. Dominic looked at him from the other end of the corridor. Neither moved for a moment. Then Dominic approached and stopped an arm's length away. Are you hurt? He asked. No. Do you want to leave? Noah glanced at Vale being taken away, then at the rescued server receiving treatment. Not yet. Dominic waited. Noah realized he meant it. Waited for the choice. Together, they recovered the drive, the clinic records, and the evidence linking Vale to the poison and the remaining network behind it. The threat that began at the dinner table finally had a shape, a motive, and an ending. But when they returned to the West Building, Dominic did not follow Noah into the apartment. He stood outside the open door. You were right, he said. About what? You saw what my people missed. And I nearly lost that because I was too afraid to let you stand beside me. Noah's chest tightened, but he did not mistake the words for repair. Not yet. Tonight was a start, he said. Dominic nodded. I know. Noah stepped inside. The door remained open between them. They had survived the same danger without Noah sacrificing himself and without Dominic taking away his choice. For the first time, that felt less like an impossible promise and more like something they might actually learn how to keep. Dominic remained outside Noah's open door until Noah stepped back and said, You can come in. The invitation changed something in Dominic's face. Not relief exactly. Relief expected forgiveness. This was smaller than that, and more honest. He crossed the threshold only after Noah moved aside. The apartment was quiet now, the danger reduced to secured evidence, guarded witnesses, and Marcus Vale alive in custody. For the first time since the poison wine, neither of them had an emergency to hide behind. Noah set his phone on the kitchen counter. Sit. Dominic glanced at the chair. Was that an order? A request? You make. Them sound similar. Noah almost smiled. I learned from an expert. Dominic sat. Noah remained standing for a moment, studying the man who had once controlled entire rooms without lifting his voice. Tonight, Dominic looked tired. The cut near his temple had been cleaned, but not covered. His hands rested open on his knees, empty of weapons, tablets, and decisions made on Noah's behalf. Vale's evidence is enough? Noah asked. Yes. The clinic records, the drive, the financial transfers, and the server's statement complete the chain. The remaining people connected to the plan have been identified. And Dominic understood the real question. They will be arrested, exposed, or removed from my organization. Not executed. Noah held his gaze. Because that's strategically better? Because I don't want fear making every decision for me. The answer sat between them. Dominic did not ask Noah to praise it. That mattered. Noah pulled out the chair opposite him. What happens to the server? He and his family can choose relocation, protection, or a financial settlement. Elena has the same options. Choose. Yes. That word is getting a lot of work tonight. I'm trying to become familiar with it. The humor was dry enough to surprise a laugh out of Noah. It came softly, but it loosened something in the room. Dominic's shoulders lowered by a fraction. Then Noah looked toward the door. It was still open. 2 guards stood far down the hall, out of earshot. What happens to me? He asked. Dominic's expression changed. Whatever you decide. Noah waited. Dominic continued before the silence could become another form of pressure. Your apartment lease is still yours if you want it. The balance I paid will remain paid, but there will be no further changes without your permission. Your position at the club can be restored, transferred, or ended with severance. Your phone, records, and accounts are under your control. Security is available, not mandatory, unless there is an immediate threat. And this apartment, yours for as long as you want it. Or not. Dominic's voice stayed level, but his scent carried the strain of every word. And you? Noah asked. Dominic looked down at his hands. For once, the answer did not come quickly. I want to be in your life. He raised his eyes. But wanting that does not give me the right to arrange it. Noah felt the old ache return, not as panic now, but as grief for everything that might have been easier if they had understood this sooner. You scared me, he said. I know. Not because you killed those men. Dominic went still. Not only because of that. Noah corrected. You made me feel valuable. Then you made every decision like my value belonged to you. Dominic absorbed the words without defending himself. I did. You paid my debt, took my job, moved me, locked me in, and called it protection. I did. You used what I did with the wine as proof that I couldn't be trusted. Dominic's jaw tightened. That was cruel. Yes. The admission was quiet. Specific. No excuses. I was terrified, he said. And I turned that fear into authority, because authority is the only tool I have ever trusted. Noah looked at him. Love can't be another word for authority. I know that now. Knowing once isn't enough. Then I will prove it more than once. Dominic did not reach for him. He did not promise perfection. He simply waited. Noah had spent years making himself easy to keep, quiet, useful, grateful. Even now, part of him wanted to accept quickly so Dominic would not regret asking. Noah recognized the impulse and let it pass. I have conditions, he said. Dominic's attention sharpened, but he remained still. Tell me. You asked before changing anything that affects my life. You do not remove information because you think I'll make the wrong choice. You can disagree with me. You can tell me the risk. But the decision stays mine. Agreed. You don't buy your way out of conflict. Agreed. And if I say I need space, you don't put guards inside it. A shadow of pain crossed Dominic's face. Agreed. Noah leaned back. You answered too fast. I have had several hours to understand the cost of answering differently. That earned another small smile. Outside, one of the guards shifted farther down the hallway, giving them more privacy without being told. Noah noticed Dominic notice it, and choose not to intervene. A tiny thing. Maybe the most important one. Dominic stood. I should leave. Noah's chest tightened. Do you want to? No, then why are you? Because I don't know whether you want me to stay. Dominic waited. The room felt suddenly simple. No poison glass. No locked doors. No men at a table deciding who mattered. Just a question. Noah looked at the open doorway, then back at Dominic. Stay for coffee. Dominic glanced toward the kitchen. You're supposed to avoid caffeine while recovering. Noah raised an eyebrow. Dominic stopped himself. Would you like tea? Better. They moved around the small kitchen together. Dominic filled the kettle but asked where Noah kept the cups. Noah chose two mismatched mugs from the cabinet. When Dominic reached for one, Noah handed it to him rather than letting him take over. Neither of them mentioned how deliberate the gesture was. Later, they sat beside the window while the city lights softened below. Noah accepted the blanket Dominic offered without saying he would repay him. Dominic sat close enough to share warmth, far enough that Noah could move freely. The first night at the club, Noah said, You told me to stay nearby. I remember. You made it sound like an order. It was terrible technique. Dominic's mouth curved. What should I have said? Noah looked at him. You could have asked. Dominic's hand rested between them, palm open. Will you stay? Noah looked at the hand, then placed his own in it. Tonight, he said. Dominic's fingers closed gently, not trapping, only holding. Tonight, he agreed. Noah was still poor by Dominic's standards. Still an omega in a world that liked deciding what omegas should endure. Still someone learning that being needed was not the same as being loved. But he was no longer invisible. He had a voice in the room, a choice at the table, and a door he could open himself. Dominic had once answered fear by destroying everyone within reach. Now he sat beside Noah and waited to be chosen. The wine had proved Noah would die for him. The life they built afterward would prove something harder. Noah did not have to.